Good afternoon. Can we just perhaps begin by looking at the sin taxes that we saw coming in from Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan? Any surprises in there for you, or were the increases in line with what we were expecting?
The increases were more or less in line with what we expected. We would have hoped for it to be slightly lower, more closer to CPI, but it's more or less in line with what we expected. There was no real surprises.
The minister is talking, though, about consumer spending perhaps increasing by 0.9% this year, 2.6% in 2011, and perhaps 2.9% in 2012. Does that look like reasonable estimates for you going forward?
It looks realistic. We don't, in the alcoholic beverage industry, at this stage, see any real indications of consumer expenditure strengthening. So the views of the minister would certainly be good news going forward. That's probably realistic.
What about the increases, though, that we saw today and the impact on your business? Because I see in the numbers that you released today, you're talking about volumes being up 7.7%, while sales are up 9.3%, just slightly above inflation. So it does look like you have not been able to get any kind of leverage off the higher prices in this environment.
To understand the sort of the relationship between volumes and revenue increases, you've really got to understand it's been the result of two effects. The one, and the more important one of the two, is the strengthening of the rand. That we earn a substantial portion of our revenue these days outside the borders of South Africa. And with the strengthening of the rand, we've seen very nice volume increases, but it hasn't been reflected in revenue increases. In addition to that, in the local market, there's an effect from what we'll say a negative change in the product mix, in the sense that people are buying down to an extent within the market to less profitable products. But the major effect has been through the strengthening of the rand.
Yeah, so were you unhappy with the minister not taking any action against the rand, if I may put it that way? I mean, he is saying there will be no fixing of the rand, so we presume the rand is going to continue to be set by the market, and we did see it rallying up. Were you unhappy that he didn't take any kind of action?
We're certainly not in favor of the rand being fixed in any specific way. It would certainly have helped the export side of our business if there was actions to weaken the rand. But in total, for South Africa, we actually feel it's probably responsible to allow the rand to float, and that there are many benefits from a stronger rand. But it's certainly not good for the export side of our business.
Yeah, and let's talk about the move that you saw down from perhaps the higher priced wines and spirits to the lower priced ones. How big a move was that? And do you think that's likely to continue this year, particularly given that all the indications we have are that the economic environment is continuing to be difficult for a while now?
It's certainly been a relatively major move that in all the categories in the alcoholic beverage industry, you see the high-priced products and the high-priced brands being under pressure, and the consumer moving within categories to lower-priced products. But at the same time also moving between categories to categories where the unit costs are lower. As far as going forward is concerned, we don't really see a recovery at the premium end of the market until consumer expenditure recovers. And that's not likely to occur in the short term.
Yeah, and finally, Jan, do you see any kind of kick coming out of the World Cup for you guys? I would imagine there must be lots of drinking, particularly the English coming.
We foresee that in general South Africa will probably go into another festive period, and it will lead the World Cup, the tension would lead to probably another festive season in South Africa, which together with the influx of foreign tourists should benefit the industry as a whole.